Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Stan from Historic Travels and welcome to another video. And as always, before we get started today, I'd just like to take a quick moment to welcome all my new subscribers and to thank everybody who's been leaving me comments and messages down below. Thank you guys so much, I really appreciate it. And if you would like to take a couple of extra steps to help support the channel a little bit more, there's a merch store and a Patreon for this channel in the links below. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Okay guys, the time has finally come to continue the story of the Titanic sister ship, the RMS Olympic. When we last left the Olympic, she had just finished her service as a troop ship during the First World War. Now the Olympic is proceeding back to Belfast, where the ship is going to be transformed back from a troop ship into a passenger ocean liner. And that's where this video is going to begin, and without any further ado, let's get into it. In August of 1919, the HMT Olympic, still rocking her military dazzle camouflage paint scheme, proceeded back to Belfast, where the ship would be transformed once again from the troop ship configuration back into the passenger vessel configuration the ship had before the outbreak of World War I. Now, this trip to Belfast wasn't just to restore the Olympic's original appearance before the war. The ship would also go through a series of upgrades to make the vessel, number one, operate more efficiently, and number two, the White Star Line wanted to modernize the ship's interiors a bit, so the ship wouldn't seem old or antiquated to all the passengers that would soon be sailing on her. Of all of the upgrades the Olympic received during this trip to Belfast, the most significant was a massive overhaul of all of the ship's boilers. You see, up until now, all of the boilers on the Olympic burned coal as fuel, so the ship could, generate steam so the vessel could sail across the Atlantic. But during this trip to Belfast, every single boiler on the Olympic was reconfigured to burn oil instead of coal. This in turn would make it much easier for people to maintain and operate the Olympic, and it would help the Olympic run much more efficiently. There were a few other improvements made to the Olympic by having this vessel burn oil instead of coal, one of which was the amount of time needed to refuel the ship between each voyage. You see, when the Olympic ran on coal, it would always take several days between each voyage to completely refuel the ship. But now on a new oil-based fuel system, the amount of time needed to refuel the ship was reduced from several days to just a matter of hours. So that improvement alone is huge, and it's another significant reason as to why the White Star Line decided to convert the Olympic to oil burning instead of coal. And quite possibly one of the biggest changes of all that came to this ship by having this ship burn oil instead of coal was the amount of personnel needed to now run the vessel. You see, having the Olympic be an oil burner meant that it was much easier to run this ship. So much so that the White Star Line didn't need anywhere near as many personnel on board the Olympic to run it. You see, when this ship was a coal burner, it would take around 350 men shoveling coal and working in the engine room to successfully get the vessel to operate and sail across the Atlantic. But now, as an oil burner, the amount of staff needed to fuel and run the ship could be reduced from 350 now down to only 60. Now, while the conversion work on the Olympic was underway and the vessel was in dry dock, the personnel at the Harland & Wolff shipyard noticed something odd on the Olympic's hull below her waterline. While they were examining the hull, they found what looked like a pretty substantial dent in the ship's hull with a pretty big crack in the middle. Now, at first, they didn't know what to make of this, although with a little bit of investigating, the true horror of what they were looking at soon came to light. As it turns out, what this dent in the hull represented was that at some point during the First World War, as the Olympic was sailing along operating as a troop ship, the ship had in fact been struck by a torpedo from a German U-boat. And this torpedo that hit the Olympic was defective, so when the torpedo hit the Olympic, it didn't detonate. All it did was put a pretty substantial dent in the Olympic's hull. Now, historians in later years have been trying to figure out exactly when this torpedo attack happened. And from what I could find, and I couldn't confirm this, so if you know for certain, please let me know in the comments below, but a historian believes that the torpedo was fired by U-boat U-53 on the 4th of September 1918, while the Olympic was operating in the English Channel. Now, as I said, I can't confirm or deny this is just something I found in my research, but if you know more information about it, please let me know in the comments below. But regardless of what U-boat fired the torpedo at the Olympic, what this really does say is that the Olympic was definitely one lucky ship, and she really did earn the nickname Old Reliable. And then in June of 1920, all the upgrades were added to the Olympic and the vessel was once again ready to enter passenger service. Now, one quick fun fact about the ship after these upgrades were complete: in terms of tonnage, all of these upgrades to the ship had made the Olympic heavier, and this in turn allowed the ship to claim the title of the world's largest British-built passenger liner. Now, one thing to keep in mind about this was just in terms of tonnage, not overall size. The Cunard liner Aquitania was still a bit longer than the Olympic, but the Olympic was a heavier ship. Now, not only was the Olympic currently the world's largest British-built passenger liner afloat, but the vessel actually proved to be pretty popular with the general public. In one voyage alone in the year 1920, it is estimated that the Olympic carried over 2,200 passengers. And that's pretty surprising to me that so many people would want to sail on the Olympic, given that a good chunk of the world was in a state of recovery after the outbreak of World War I. But even so, this popular trend of the Olympic continued over into the next year as well. In the year 1921, it's estimated that the Olympic carried over 38,000 passengers in that entire year. And that is very impressive to me. However, with how impressive these numbers were for the Olympic, the White Star Line still thought they could do better. And they weren't happy with these numbers because the Olympic was operating by itself. The numbers that the White Star Line wanted would be much more obtainable if the Olympic had two running mates. Remember, this was supposed to be the Titanic and the Britannic, but both of them sunk. So the White Star Line wanted to get two more vessels to be running mates for the Olympic. And as it turns out, they were about to get them. In the year 1922, as part of war reparations, the country of Germany ceded two German-built passenger vessels to Great Britain and the White Star Line. These two passenger vessels would soon become known as the RMS Olympic and the RMS Majestic. These two vessels would become the Olympic's new running mates, and the three of them would continue to operate transatlantic voyages between Europe and America. And all of these vessels would prove to be very popular for the foreseeable future. And finally, the White Star Line had the three ships that they always wanted when they first conceived of the Olympic class so many years ago. And it was definitely perfect timing in the part of the White Star Line in order to get this fleet of ships to help accompany the Olympic as it was doing its transatlantic voyages across the Atlantic. Because during this time period, the 1920s were in full swing, sometimes referred to as the Roaring Twenties. The 1920s saw massive changes throughout the world. This was a time of innovation. The world was getting brand new technologies, the music style was changing, the economy was booming so people had more money, and there was more people wanting to immigrate from Europe to America. So this was definitely the perfect time for the White Star Line to have a pair of running mates to help accompany the Olympic in the transatlantic crossing. Now, as it also seems, this is also the time period where the Titanic actually got its first wave in popularity. You see, one of the major attractions to the Olympic was that it was the sister ship to the Titanic. So a good number of people wanted to sail on the Olympic so they could get a taste and experience what life may have been like on the Olympic's ill-fated sister ship, the Titanic. And for the next couple of years, life would be pretty uneventful for the Olympic. The ship would continue to do transatlantic voyages between Europe and America and would continue to be a pretty popular vessel for anybody wanting to do the transatlantic crossing. Although it wasn't all smooth sailing for the Olympic. On March 22nd, 1924, as the Olympic was backing out of New York Harbor, it was involved in yet another collision. A smaller vessel, known as the Fort of St. George, accidentally crossed paths with the Olympic as the ship was backing out of the harbor, and the Olympic's stern crashed into the Fort of St. George, causing significant damage to the vessel. Now, at first, it appeared that the Olympic only sustained minor damage, but upon closer inspection, it turns out the ship did have some major damage that needed urgent replacing. So the Olympic once again had to go and get repairs done before the ship could continue operating the transatlantic voyage. Now, in the 1920s, another hardship was dealt to the Olympic and the White Star Line, and this would significantly reduce the number of people that would sail on this ship. And that was a change in the U.S.'s policy in regards to how many immigrants would be allowed to enter the country each year. You see, at some point in the mid-20s, the U.S. changed its laws regarding this, and they reduced the number of immigrants allowed to enter the country to around 169,000 a year. That was the number of immigrants that would be allowed to enter the country, regardless of what ocean liner company they sailed with to get to America. So this in turn really reduced the number of people that would be sailing on the Olympic. Now, the White Star Line was trying to figure out what to do because this was really damaging their profit margin. So what they decided to do was now cater to not just immigrants, but also to the tourist industry. So what they decided to do was make a brand new class on the Olympic specifically targeted at tourists. Now, before they made this change, there were 3 classes on the Olympic: first class, second class, third class. And the amount of money you paid for your ticket determined what class you were in on board the vessel, and it also determined the type of accommodations you got on board. This brand new class was called Third Tourist, and this class was targeted at tourists. And the whole point of this class was to give people some luxuries on board the ship without the high ticket cost. Because if you're traveling on vacation, you don't want to be in a really, really tiny cabin. You want to have some luxury with it. That way you can relax and enjoy your stay. And this change proved to be pretty successful, and slowly but surely the number of people that would sail on the Olympic began to rise, and the ship was once again proving to be somewhat profitable for the White Star Line. Now, the third tourist cabin class was officially added to the Olympic at some point between the years of 1927 and 1928. And once this class was officially added to the ship and brought online, this is when the White Star Line began to notice both their profits increase and the number of riders on the Olympic begin to go up. And things operated pretty smoothly for the Olympic for the next year or so. Shoot, the year 1929, the Olympic saw its best ridership since the year 1925. So things were looking up for the White Star Line and the Olympic. That is, until October 1929, when a certain global event would occur that would change the fate of both the Olympic and the White Star Line forever. Alright everybody, well hey, I think I'm gonna pause the video here. This seems like a good place to pause the Olympic timeline series for now. So be sure you join me next time when we talk about what happened to the Olympic and the White Star Line after the crash of 29 occurred. Alright everybody, well hey, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please leave it a like. If you're new here, please subscribe. It really helps out a lot. And guys, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You guys are awesome. Alright everybody, well hey, y'all stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a good day everybody, and thank you all so much for watching. Special thanks to Patreon Captain level supporter Callum Whaley. Thank you so much for all the support, man.